Business is simple. You generate revenue and you have expenses. The leftover from that is your profit. Business is all about making a profit. If your expenses are outweighing the revenue that you bring in, you have to bring it down or you're going to be out of business.
Right, because then you're not going to have no money. It's similar to running a household, or if you're looking at like budgeting your household.
Exactly.
And, whatever money you have left to spend over, or what have you, like that's what you work with, but you got to pay your bills first.
Right. It doesn't matter how much support a business gets, like especially in the standpoint of the black businesses. It doesn't matter if we get flash mobs that support us or whatever, or a whole bunch. Especially when the time when we were losing money, we could have all this support, but if we were bleeding money somewhere, it doesn't matter. Like it would just go and go away.
The interesting thing too about getting an influx of support from people is the fact that you have to deliver on that influx as well. Like you have to deliver on all those orders that you got or what have you, and then that's like more expenses because
that takes money.
You got to go buy more material or more shipping, more labor. Which a lot of these businesses who have been saying that they were kind of on the brink of closing have. At some point they're reducing their labor drastically. So then to get this like influx of supporters out of nowhere, it seems like a seesaw.
It's kind of counterintuitive a little bit. Like it helped. And again, don't get me wrong. Like it helps them in the short term. But like the fundamentals of the business, like is that a valuable business?
Right.
Probably not. Like you have to fundamentally fix the business. Just like with us. Like if we didn't fundamentally reduce our expenses, we wouldn't be here.
What's up, Urban Eden family? Welcome back to another Urban Eden podcast. I am your host, Quinton Lewis, and today is an extra special episode because I got my other half on here, Quinton Lewis. Hey, Quinton, what's up?
What's going on?
I didn't even do I should have did my formal introduction, but if you guys catch up with Urban Eden, then y'all already know that he is...
You don't like me like that,
Let me see. Quinton Lewis is the CEO of Urban Eden.
Really?
Yes. He is a new father of one.
Yeah.
And... but Quinton is the brains essentially behind Urban Eden, so he has all the business acumen and helps to keep us going. So today's episode is actually going to be even a little bit different because most of the time we're talking about like holistic health on here, which Quinton is very versed in holistic health in his own journey as well.
It's whole.
But today we'll be talking about business. We'll be diving deeper a little into business because that's something that he likes to talk about. So the topic today is quite interesting. So yes, without further ado, let's say what's up to Quinton and see how he's doing.
What's up, Terran?
What's up, Quinton?
What's going on?
Nothing much. Are you close enough to your mic?
I feel like I am. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to get on here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see all the people that be on here, and I be like, dang, one day, like, I'll know that I made it if I get to be on here. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I made it now. Like, I have reached the top. Like, when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, like, I always just wanted to be on your podcast. And I finally
we've actually done like podcasts here or there together that we've started, but I'm glad that you finally get to be on this podcast. And this officially makes him the first guy that we have interviewed. There are going to be some guys coming soon, so Quinn just went on ahead and put himself on up in there right quick. And just it ended up just happening like that naturally. So
I mean, I thought we was reading that article, and I don't want to get into the whole, but we was reading it, and we was like, no, this would be good to go on the podcast or whatever.
Yes, that's why he's on here today. We are subscribed on Beauty Independent. Beauty Independent, we just subscribed on there because a lot of the articles are really good. They keep us in that like know-how in the industry. And one of the most recent articles is shout out to Taylor Bryant from Beauty Independent. She writes a lot of good articles on there. And she recently wrote an article called Black-Owned Beauty Brands Are Being Vulnerable in Public with Their Financial Struggles. So that was something that we wanted to come and talk to you guys about today, because we know that we just been, just even with us being on Instagram, and we've been seeing a lot of like businesses closing down. We've been seeing a lot of business owners within the same industry or close to in the industry as us, just talking about, their business struggles and going on there. And, some of them have been being involved in different projects, and then some of them are continuing to close or what have you. So we're about to dive deeper into that and talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to talk about it, especially, us being, in the industry, just giving the real. And I think especially for today and just even like this year, I think it's important for people like us that I think we're like some of the leaders in Black-owned business, for us to speak about it and speak transparently to it, so that people can understand that like they're not the only ones going through it. We're going through it as well. You know what I'm saying? But we can just we'll chop it up and we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah, we will. And shoot, we already up in the conversation because, again, like we said, we've been seeing different people on social media just talking about different challenges that they're having with their business. And honestly, for us personally, like we know that 2024, of course, like 2020, everything was great. The pandemic, like that's when we saw spikes. And then, of course, 2021 was still good. And then, we got into 2022, which is still floating. 2023, it was like, okay. And in 2024, everything just felt like it just went to hell.
I mean, you gave a good like overview, because that's actually that day when we was watching that podcast.
Which one?
Remember when we moved downstairs and we kept watching, and I kept saying, I was like, look, the dude keep talking.
Yeah, it was talking
so
about
the guy, basically, to give y'all a little rundown, it was a guy, he was giving a podcast. He was talking about the state of e-commerce. And he was just saying how, like, and when you just said it, you was just like 2020, 21, and 22, it was a lot of growth, a lot of massive growth. 23, you could start to feel a little bit of peeling back a little bit. We still grew 20% that year, but in 2024 is when you like, things have to change.
And it didn't necessarily go to hell for us in general. It just became tougher, and you have to take a look at things. We had to, like I always say, we had to take some steps back so that we could take some steps forward. But again, just looking at other businesses around ours, they've been closing, and then a lot of people have been struggling.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think that a lot of that has been pretty much attributed to, as far as like, just 2024 just being a more difficult year for a lot of businesses, and then even, some of them closing? Like, what do you think that stems from?
I mean, I think it just stems from just a lack of just being in tune with the numbers. I just speaking from my own experience, like, even for us, and we're going to speak transparently on this podcast, like, even for us, for Urban Eden, we got our investment at the end of 21, so we had cash. You know what I'm saying? But we were operating unprofitable for a long time. We hired a lot of people and whatnot. So our cash got low. So when that happened, we had to start buckling down. We had to start really being in tune with, we should have already been in tune. But a part of like the evolution of just kind of going through this whole journey, when you go through, like they always say, experience is your best teacher. Once we started to go through it, I'm like, oh, wow, like, going through the numbers with Kevin and Armand, I'm like, yo, we got to really buckle down. So to answer your question, I think it was simply just people just not understanding their numbers, not understanding where their break even is, not understanding like how much revenue do they got to generate every month so that they're not losing money. Break even. So for example, there's when you're in business, you have to understand what amount of revenue do you have to hit so that you're not going to lose money. If you go below that, then you're going to be losing money. You're going to be burning cash. Like, and that's pretty much when a business is only shut down for like one reason, and really it's because they run out of money.
Right.
So the reason why them brands run out of money is because at some point in time in the business, they didn't reduce their expenses. They didn't look at their numbers and say, hey, we need to reduce our expenses below that break-even point so that we can begin to accumulate cash and not lose cash.
Sometimes it could be hard to like look at you should look at your numbers. It could just be hard because a lot of us that are in business have like creative minds per se. And then of course, like, we just out here doing things that like look good aesthetically, or we have that passion for like creating the products or whatever service or what have you we might be selling, but then the numbers part can be like scary. But it's so important to look at in business because, like you said, at some point, if you're not paying attention to your numbers, I mean, it's gonna catch up to you pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you'll start to see your cash just go down. And I mean, for us, like, and we experienced it, like, our cash, you know, we have investors and we have our accountants and we meet with them all the time. So if I didn't have them to keep me accountable and to really keep us, you know what I'm saying, it probably would have continued to just go down. But because I have these people on my team that keep me accountable, I was able to see these things, and we were able to make adjustments and make the pivots. And what are the adjustments and the pivots? Cutting expenses, laying off people. You know what I'm saying? The things they're not fun. They're very difficult decisions that you got to make. But if you want your business to continue to survive and be, you know what I'm saying, to still be here next year or whatever, then you better make those adjustments. You better make those cuts.
Yeah. What's interesting, too, is that it's not just black. I mean, this article specifically specifies black-owned beauty brands.
Yes.
But it's not just black-owned brands. Like, this is business. This is just the game of business.
Yes.
Like, the landscape this year just looked different for a lot of people. I know everybody kept saying with the with the iOS update that just threw a lot of people off. Is it the iOS update? What was it that threw a lot of people off a couple years ago?
Yes, the iOS definitely threw people off because it changed the way that, you know, we were able to, like, follow your customer around on the internet. You know, you see it with your apps. Like, when you go to an app and it asks you, do you want to be tracked or not? That is the whole iOS stuff. Like, before, there wasn't no asking you if you wanted to be tracked.
Right.
We just followed you around. You got hit with that you got hit with the Pixel. We followed you around the internet. You know what I'm saying? Now we can retarget you. It's much harder to do that. Consequently, it makes it harder to acquire customers today. The cost of acquiring a customer continues to go up. That's another thing that makes it hard. And that's something that we even went through as well, is that because we had to start reducing our expenses, we cut down our marketing spend. So we cut down on acquiring new customers at the rate that we were getting them. So that's another thing that contributes to people, like when you ask about what is contributing to people closing down and what contributing to people things being hard. The cost to acquire a customer continues to go up. Facebook is that Meta. You literally pay the tax. You pay the VIG to Meta.
Yeah, that's true. You do. They taking over the game because
They
of course
have all the
Meta has
customers.
Instagram and Facebook.
They have all the data. They have all the customers.
Those are
You know
like
what
the
I'm
two
saying?
main social medias that everybody's using to, you know, even get customers.
Exactly.
Who were we just talking to recently, and they, I can't think of. We were just talking to somebody recently, but I think that they specifically use like social media. I mean, you do have just some people that are just specifically using social media, not even running ads.
Oh yeah,
pretty much.
we were talking to the Herbalist.
Is that who we? And she was saying she just used social media.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Majority of people just use social media. I mean, it's a platform that's free. It's free to create an account. It's free to post content. You know, but of course, if you want to reach beyond that, then you got to start paying.
That's what pretty much, essentially, actually, that's what this article even started off talking about. They were saying that the Apple iOS update in 2021 decimated this particular brand's ability to unearth new customers online, and that's pretty much exactly what you were just saying.
Yeah.
The cost just became ridiculous.
Really high. It became harder. I mean, I remember during 2020 when we were running that brand story, man, we were getting and I promise you, if I could go, honestly, I think Facebook don't even let you see the data anymore, but if I go back and show you on our ad account, we were getting customers for like $2, $3, $4. I remember looking at it.
Times is good.
Now, we get customers for like $15 to $16 now. So think about it. If you were, think about if you were buying a product in 2020 for $3, and now today it's $15. How would that make you feel? Like I'm talking about like the basics of basic item. Like, man, just say you go to the gas station and buy a lighter. Say that lighter was $3 in 2020.
You'll do it, but you just be.
And now it's $15.
Right. No, you'll do it, but it'll hurt. It's similar to like when I buy something for full price and then it goes on sale later, and it'll be like, oh, I paid full price. That hurts. Okay.
Back in 2020, things were on sale.
Pretty much.
They're not on sale no more. They're not on sale. The customers are not on sale. So I mean, that's another thing for businesses. I mean, you like. When the article, what's the title of the article again?
And I'm actually, if you guys see me looking down, I'm just trying to go through the article because there is a point that I want to mention that's in the article, but I think it's more so at the end.
Oh, the strategy part.
The strategy part.
Yes, it's in that middle part, but we'll get to that.
The title of the article is "Black-Owned Beauty Brands Are Being Vulnerable in Public with Their Financial Struggles."
So that's kind of going back to when you were saying that it isn't just black founders that are going through it. Everybody's going through it. I mean, I had a recent consultation with someone that I was actually the person that was paying for the consulting, and he was even telling me this guy he consults with 8-figure, 9-figure brands, and he was saying that like, if you're just flat this year, you're doing a good job. Mm-hmm. He was like, majority of the brands that he talks to are negative. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're not growing. You know what I'm saying?
It's really hard to stand out in the market, and a lot of these markets are oversaturated. Not only that, it's just like 2020 was just really a glory. 2020 and 2021 were just the glory days for Black-owned brands. And 2022 for Black-owned brands in particular, because, of course, you had the George Floyd going on where people were supporting Black-owned businesses more so because of the George Floyd. Right. Like, people were actively seeking out Black-owned businesses. I remember even...
That was the first question people asked you.
That was the first question. Is that when Killer Mike came out with that episode that he did where he tried to buy everything that was Black-owned and literally found that it was impossible to buy everything Black-owned that you use daily. Yep. But still just that effort of wanting to do Black-owned. So we saw this rush. So many of our businesses and brands saw this influx of business and support from so many different customers. And then it was just like, it kind of like tapered off and fell off within the past like year or two.
So now you're making a good point there, because you said during 2020, 2021, the George Floyd thing, everybody coming to storm your business because it's Black. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always go back to my point of like, and let me put a little parentheses around this when I'm about to say that. Little disclaimer. Like, that's why I believe that people shouldn't just buy from you just because you're Black. Mm-hmm. It doesn't hold any weight really to it. Like, it's not. To me, it's not sustainable. Like, it's cool. Like, again, and for people that's watching, like, I'm saying that shouldn't be your sole reason. Right. Like, I want people to buy from Urban Eden simply because it's a product that you need, first and foremost. The next thing could be because it's a product that you want. Mm-hmm. If those ain't the two leading things and the reason why you buying from us, then if you just buying from us just because we're Black, like, to me, that's not going to have no, like, it's when anything happens, like, for example, let's say, again, with the whole election stuff, let's just say I say something that you were pissed off about. Mm-hmm. You're going to stop buying from me simply because of I said something that pissed you off. Mm-hmm. And then not only that, people also kind of, it's a double-edged sword to be a Black-owned brand, too, because, again, the second that you piss somebody off, essentially, like, then they're like, oh, you operate just like the rest of the other Black-owned brands. Right, they throw it in your face. Customer service sucks and all types of things. When, honestly, at the end of the day, like, you see us sitting right here, like, we are business owners and we're all trying to do the best that we can do. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're all giving it our all. But then, of course, when you have like even thousands or hundreds of customers, you're not gonna please everybody. Unfortunately, true. It's a thin line. True, it's a thin line. So then you really get those people that come at you, but it's just like, again, real people are running these businesses, like, and there's so many layers to what it takes to run a business. And again, that's why it's circling back around to you're seeing businesses not surviving pretty much and not staying sustainable because of mismanaging money, and then of course like losing a lot of people who were just all gung-ho. Just buying from you just because you were Black. Because you were Black. It was an emotional, what do you call it? Like an emotional high at the time. So then our Black-owned businesses, trying to appeal to people's emotions when they get on social media and just be and then on one end, back to the article. But on one end, I know one thing for us has always been it's been important to be transparent just throughout our journey. We've always shown the good, the bad, and the ugly. And sometimes like we showed our investment and things like that. Right. And then I don't know if we did a little bit of talking about. We've shown a lot of different things, a lot of transparency, and I don't think there's nothing wrong. Like even going back to the article, and they were showing that the Black business owner, and they were talking about specifically Black business owners being vulnerable to their struggles. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. To be completely honest with you,
because documenting your journey, like good, bad, ugly.
Yeah, like we've done that from the beginning. Like we document our journey. You know what I'm saying? We've documented it from the beginning when we had like nothing to the point when we had to go to the 4,000 bar trip and we had to raise money to do that. Like I don't think anything wrong with that. I think the problem of it, and going back to the article is, and again, guys, please, I encourage you, go check out this article. I think the problem with it is that when you're relying on people to support you, like you got to have a business that is truly meeting a need. Yeah. Because if it's not, like for example, toilet paper, you could get mad at the owner who owns toilet paper. you still need toilet paper.
Still need that toilet paper.
You're going to need that toilet paper every single day. You know what I'm saying?
I still need to wash.
You still need soap.
I
You
need
still got
to
to wash.
shower with something.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the other basic necessities that we talk about? Like
socks and underwear.
like all of these things are very
toothpaste.
basic. If you get a whole bunch of customers who just buy from you just because of the color of your skin, like when things get rocky and shaky as they are this year, and people need to cut down, and I see that a lot because I'm answering the emails. I'm seeing people like, oh, I need to cancel my subscription because my finances are different, all that type of stuff, and that's fine.
That is.
But like when things get hard, people cut things.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't want them to cut the things that you don't. You want people are going to keep the essentials,
right?
The things that they need. And again, I don't want a whole bunch of people who just bought from me just because I was black. They, people say things like, "I wanted to support your brand."
Right.
I don't want you to just support my brand.
Right? It's like I want you to actually like need the product.
I want you to need the product.
And you know what? Even when what you're talking about is so weird because when sometimes people come to me and they'll say that they bought something, it might be somebody I know, and then I'll say thank you for supporting the brand, which in a way it is support, but being a business in general is kind of like a reciprocal relationship. You know, like that person does buy and purchases, but then you're also giving them something like you said, it's an essential.
Right.
If you have an essential,
and I get where you coming from when you say that, because like for example, when like you're the owner of the business, somebody comes into your place of business and they buying from you, or whatever, and you're talking with them, and I get that interaction. Thank you for supporting the business, because for example with us, we're making soap. You could have easily went to Publix and bought your bar of soap, but you decided to come here because it's a product that we make that you needed or wanted. And so I understand in your sense of when you say thank you for supporting the business. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do. And again, it just just talking back about the article, because of course the article we're talking about black owned businesses, but essentially they're talking about black owned businesses within the beauty industry or the wellness industry in general too, which one other thing to note is that the industry is becoming like very oversaturated as well.
That was in there.
Which is making it hard to like distinguish yourself and be different.
It is hard.
And well, which comes down to one of the ultimate solutions of what you should do, but it just becomes hard to like distinguish yourself within this industry and to be different. So what you want to say?
Oh no, you were speaking about the oversaturation.
Right. That's what I said. And the beauty industry is highly oversaturated. I mean, there are a lot of people just coming out with different skincare brands, especially black owned. Like
everybody got shea butter.
Everybody got shea butter. A lot of people ask us to do hair care products, but that's an industry too that I feel like is just oversaturated. I feel like there's already a lot of hair care. Like, do you really need hair care from us? But I don't know. It's just people becoming more like, loyal to the different brands that they love in general, and you wanting to offer more products for them. But again, the industry is heavily oversaturated. So many of us, it's not enough to just be a clean beauty brand anymore, because clean beauty is something that's becoming more normal. And not only that, you have bigger brands that have been out, and I keep saying this, but a lot of bigger brands are coming out with they're pretty much stepping in the small brand footsteps, natural, natural or greenwashing
essential
or plant-based soaps or that's what they're marketing now. So it's just becoming more of like a different a highly competitive landscape for one, on top of financial struggles. So I would say financial struggles for one, but then let's address like the oversaturation of the industry.
I mean, you speaking, I mean, it definitely is oversaturated. Think about when you started. Where did you start? You started in your kitchen, learning how to make it. People can do that today.
A lot of people do.
It's harder today though. It's harder because when you started, I remember when you started, you posted to social media. Organically, people came and was like, "Yo, I want to buy it. And this was what 2014, 2015ish. Like, again, I don't think it was. I don't personally remember people being on social media making soap a whole lot. There was a few, because I remember the people that we followed.
Even when I posted.
But it wasn't a ton.
You weren't really doing video. Like, video wasn't really a thing on, like, Instagram.
World Star Hip Hop was, I remember I was starting to research about, like, why World Star Hip Hop is so popular.
We weren't even FaceTiming like that in 2014. Like, this was all I knew. The pictures look a little blurry. The quality wasn't that great.
Right. So, I mean, like, again, the market is oversaturated. So that just goes to like, you got to be good today.
You really do.
Like you even said with the article, like, black business owners being vulnerable. Like, we can't really, like, pout and cry about people not buying from us or whatever. Like, you have to be good.
Yeah.
You got to provide a good product, a good service, good customer service. Like, you have to, like, you got to go above and beyond all of that. Like, I feel like we've used, like, being black owned is almost, sometimes black owned can be used as like this this charity thing. You know what I'm saying? Almost like this, well, I'm just a black owned business. Almost like you can't be good. Almost. Right. Like you can't.
Or
be,
like an excuse or something.
Yeah, like it's an excuse or whatever. Like we're just people who happen to have colored skin.
Right.
And we have a business. And if you want to support it because we have the same skin as you, that's cool. But like we always say, like, we got to provide something that you need and want. Like, at the end of the day, like, we got to be good.
I think that's another key point. Again, we talked about the industry being oversaturated, talking about finances not being the same, and the landscape looking a little bit different. But then another key point, like you said, was to actually have a good product that you offer to people, a good product or a good service, depending on what you're offering. And then even that's one of the big stigmas around black-owned businesses too, or that people think that, oh, well, the product might not have been that great or customer service isn't that good. So I was going to say also just like having a good product or a good service, and then also good customer service just when you're talking to like your customers. And I think that leads into like the ultimate solution, which I keep just trying to touch on the solution at some point. I keep trying to like push it off, but
go ahead.
I feel like the biggest thing is that they talk about is like I said, customer service, but customer service allows you to create community, and it also allows you to just cultivate like a good following, pretty much, of people that want to use your products, and also just creates authentic relationships. That's what we were talking about. So just connecting with people, and I like that now. Me and Quinton actually do our customer service. We took some again with. When we say when times get hard, then you start picking up more of places where you might have like let go. Yeah. And we used to have people doing the customer service, but now we answer the phones, and to hear, our customers' concerns or what they love and different things, like
I love it.
It reminds us of our purpose, and I think that it helps you to stay authentic and genuine, because you can remember like, okay, this like who you do it for, what they're looking for.
Right. I mean, that's a part of the pivots that we had to make. You know what I'm saying? Like when we said earlier, when we had to reduce our expenses to try to increase our cash position a bit, we had to let go of the person that we had doing customer service, and we had to put it back in our hands. And that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because we got closer to the business. And we got a little bit further away from it because we were starting to hire all these people. But again, when things get tight, you got to reduce expenses and everything like that. So
I do want to. We'll get there in a second, because real quick, I just want to go through the article. One thing that I'm seeing is just the insert from somebody that Quinton has introduced me to on social media. Shout out to her last name, because she's a Lewis just like us. But Kim Lewis. They were mentioning her post that she did on social media where it said Black founders need you, and they relayed that she heard from about 15 Black founders that have hit $1 million in sales, whose brands are on the brink of closing. Everybody's struggling, but nobody's talking about it publicly, says Lewis. And nowadays, recently, you do have more people like talking about it publicly, which again, I think it's just good to just continue to document. And it can be like most things, a double-edged sword with even going on somewhere, being vulnerable and letting them know that your business is about to close, because but it's like on one hand, like, are you extending the help like at the right time? Essentially, are you doing it when you're pretty much like, is there any saving you?
You're saying like, are they doing it too late? Like once it's like you're about to close next week, and then you're doing it. Yeah.
When your back is up against the wall, like that's when you decide to go on there, versus like, just. I think that's where you're saying to get to that point in the article where they talked about strategy being the biggest thing.
But I guess I think you're trying to bring up is like, when is the perfect time to like bring that stuff to your community or whatever? Like, I think like you need to always be just marketing and continuing to be in your business. Like for us, like I just think about us, like if we were going like. But I mean, we just were going through the struggles with our business. Like and it's not like all peaches and cream even now. Like we just were at a point where our cash had got to the point where it was low. We were burning cash every month. I could literally see like, hey, if we don't get something together, we'll be out of business in the next few months. I could have at that point went to social media and did my thing, or could I have just buckled down, looked at the numbers, made the cuts, make the adjustments, and do it that way. And that's what we did.
And that's when it comes down to what they said at the end. I actually need to find that part, but strategy, pretty much. You have to go back and revisit your strategy.
Right.
So this point that we want to read. So I think that also another thing that this article talked about was some brands that have just been on the brink of like closing and whatnot. And one thing that we've been seeing on social media is that Pinky Cole from Slutty Vegan has been doing like some group economics projects, but the people that she's been picking are pretty much like businesses that are getting ready to go out of business, especially like Black women founded businesses that are like on the brink of closing. But she's been doing like these group economics. Why can I talk? Group economics projects where she has just pretty much been talking, like featuring the business for a few days on her social media and getting her followers to support them, which has been doing well for the businesses. We haven't really heard any like follow-ups after like months of the initiative. A lot of this is recent.
Actually.
Who?
So, like, for example, she did the sister shop, the one that was in the Atlantic Station, and then she went on the hot seat with David Shands.
But we haven't heard anything else since then, so that's what I'm saying. It hasn't been like no updates.
The thing is, Pinky did the stuff with them first, and then she was on the hot seat after that, and then he went, and that's when we found out that the business was just flawed fundamentally.
Right.
Like she even stated in that interview that the revenue that we generate from the business can't sustain the expenses. That's going back to what I was saying. Like, if a Black business is at a point where they got to close and all that type of stuff, you got to take your medicine and reduce your expenses. Reduce the expenses. It's like, business is simple. You generate revenue and you have expenses. The leftover from that is your profit. Business is all about making a profit. If your expenses are outweighing the revenue that you bring in, you have to bring it down or you're going to be out of business.
Right, because then you're not going to have no money. It's similar to running a household, or if you're looking at like budgeting your household.
Exactly.
And, whatever money you have left to spend over, or what have you, like that's what you work with, but you got to pay your bills first.
Right. So for them, like, it doesn't matter how much support a business gets, like especially in the standpoint of the Black businesses. It doesn't matter if we get flash mobs that support us or whatever, or a whole bunch. Especially when the time when we were losing money, we could have all this support, but if we were bleeding money somewhere, it doesn't matter. Like it would just go and go away.
The interesting thing too about getting an influx of support from people is the fact that you have to deliver on that influx as well. Like you have to deliver on all those orders that you got or what have you, and then that's like more expenses because
that takes money.
You got to go buy more material or more shipping, more labor. Which a lot of these businesses who have been saying that they were kind of on the brink of closing have. At some point they're reducing their labor drastically. So then to get this like influx of supporters out of nowhere, it seems like a seesaw.
It's kind of counterintuitive a little bit. Like it helped. And again, don't get me wrong. Like it helps them in the short term. But like the fundamentals of the business, like is that a valuable business?
Right.
Probably not. Like you have to fundamentally fix the business. Just like with us. Like if we didn't fundamentally reduce our expenses, we wouldn't be here.
Pretty much on the back end. Oh, and so this just goes into like again the ultimate solution. On one end, yes, we can get help from supporters, but the ultimate solution on the back end is it's like running a household. It's like cleaning up your house.
Read that paragraph.
Clean up your house, pretty much. Okay, so I think I'm finding the right paragraph. So the first paragraph talked about Pinky Cole helping different brands.
It's kind of towards the end. Almost.
It's in the same one. I found it. It says although Just Move Supplements experience, and that's one of the brands that was
Pinky helped.
That Pinky helped, and she went on social media saying that her brand was in trouble. Their experience shows that brands' communities want to chip in. Romina Brown, founder and CEO of Category Management from Strategic Solutions International, cautions that leaning on them isn't generally enough. So saying it's not enough to just depend on your community support. While she commends brand founders for being candid, she worries that it's not a long-term solution. Brown says, I can see them wanting to invite the community in to help them survive and thrive, but you have to have a strategy to withstand the competitive pressure. So that pretty much like ties everything that we said, pretty much talking about the industry being crazy, the product being crazy, but on one end, like real life have to have business strategy. Like
you just gotta be like, you gotta be good. Like you have like business is, it's simple. Like this ain't no rocket science. Like you got to get the business fundamentally at a good point where it can survive on its own and be sustainable. Get those expenses low so that you can generate the revenue and you can accumulate profit that can fund back into the business. If you ain't gonna do that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much sales you get or whatever. It doesn't matter how much support you get from your community. It doesn't matter how much you cry on camera to get your people to buy from you. It literally doesn't matter. She said, like basically to sum it up, she said, it's not enough to just rely on your community of people to come help you. At the end of the day, your business has to be something that's going to supply a need or want in the marketplace. People want to buy it without all of the like the black-owned type of stuff that comes along with it.
What I want to say, what I think would be helpful too, is on one side, people are relying on the community of consumers, but on one side, it could be a little difficult because consumers are going to buy your product. On one end, we're business owners that are trying to figure out our way. We need a community of people, and I think you have to develop your own community of people because there are a lot of people that know about business, but of course, they need to be accessible to you. So you do have to, go out there and find you a community for yourself of different business owners that can be able to help you, that can help you with those different solutions. Because when she says strategy, you might talk to these very founders who feel like they might feel like they've tried everything that they've thought to try. But there are many different ways and different strategies and things that maybe you could have implemented this to pull yourself up out of there. So I think that on one end, it's important to have your community of consumers, but then you also need to have your community of black-owned brands or founders. It don't even got to be black people.
Just your peers, founders, your peers and stuff. Yeah, the people that you can talk to, that you can relate to, that can help you. That fresh eyes. They always say fresh eyes. You need somebody that can fresh eyes. Also, accountant.
Yes, Quinton will scream that from every mountaintop.
Like, people, sometimes I talk to people and I tell them, like, you need an accountant. They automatically think that's expensive. It's not expensive. We had an accountant when we were doing low six figures. Like, we were doing like $100,000 a year. Like, your accountant will grow with you. My accountant has grown with us from the time when he was charging us a couple $100s a month to thousands of dollars a month. They will grow with you. And you don't need to have like this super sophisticated financials, but you just need to know what's coming in and what's going out. That's the fundamentals of the business. If you understand that, then you will be fine. That's true. And you can make your pivots and your adjustments that you need to make.
That's true. Well, I mean, that was pretty much, I think that there's a lot that can be said, but I think that we pretty much just kind of honed in on all the things that we know. Again, there is power and vulnerability and, going out there and letting people know the struggles that you're dealing with. And then hopefully even with that, you don't just attract consumers that are going to come and support you, but that maybe you find the right people, mentors, or just, again, like you said, peers that you need in your group to be able to help you to continue with your business. Because as Black-owned founders ourselves, even though we don't want to, like, that's not the end-all be-all of us, as those types of founders ourselves, we do need to uplift Black businesses and, make sure that our communities are prospering as well.
Absolutely.
So we need to do the best that we can to help each other and to also seek out the help that we need and the resources.
Just like you said, just like people say with the election, and I'm not to bring up the election or something, but like in the sense of like Kamala was a Black person running for president, and they said that, man, when you, like, Trump had all of these flaws and he still won, but it's like Black people, we got to be 10 times better. It's the same thing in business. Like, we have to be so much better. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if we're not, it's going to be really hard for us. You know what I'm saying? So, I think my advice to a lot of the brands out there, including myself, is just understand the fundamentals of the business. Understand the fundamentals of the business. Understand what's your best-selling stuff. Double down on it. Understand what's coming in, what's going out. Double down on it. If you need to take your medicine, and what I mean by take your medicine is if you need to reduce expenses, if you need to let go of certain things in your business that are expensive, do that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be hard. That might be people that you have to let go. It might be tools that you have to let go. But it's okay. You're going to be okay.
Right.
If you want to see the survival of your business, and that's what we had to think about. Like, do we want our business to be around years from now? Yes, we do. So we just had to make sure that we take our medicine. You know what I'm saying? So.
And when you talk about taking your medicine, sometimes it's not going to be, most of the times it's not going to be a comfortable feeling. It's not always, nasty. It's going to be nasty. Yeah. And again, like how we talked about taking some steps back to take some steps forward, that can be uncomfortable as well. It's just I think we always, one thing that I talk about with our business, we always relate it to a garden. Like it's just a garden goes through its different seasons. You have things that might not grow in that amount of time, or
throw it in the compost pile.
Throw it in the compost pile. Yeah. Like everything that you don't really have no waste. What is it? Like in permaculture, essentially, you don't have any
no
waste. Like,
and even us going through.
Everything.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Even us going through the things that we going through, that we went through, we could take those experiences and throw them in the compost pile to be able to use it again to fertilize our soil again. Like going through when our cash got low, going through having to lay people off. Like it sucks, but now I understand what it's like going through when your business is on a little bit of a downturn or a downswing. Now I have that experience now. You know what I'm saying? Now I can take that and help others when they're going through it. I also, years from now, if we ever go through this again, because like you said, it's seasons.
Right.
Things gonna come back around.
It's cyclical.
It's cyclical. It's gonna come back around. So you're gonna go through this again. So when we see this again, we'll be good. We'll know how to handle it. We'll know how to handle it. So I'm grateful for going through all the things that we went through. I told Kevin the other day, I said, man, like going through everything, like, because I meet with Kevin, which is one of our financial analysts. I meet with him every week to go over expenses and everything. And I just tell him, I said, man, like, I'm so grateful. Even though it sucked, I'm grateful to go through this because now I know what it's like. I understand. It's like, I wish that I was in tune with everything just much tighter. Right. But when things are good, nobody really worries about the bad stuff.
Right.
When the money was, in 2020 and 2021, the money was just rolling in. It was just coming in so fast that I wasn't even like paying attention. It's only until something happens, just like when somebody dies. People are at the funeral. That's when everybody reflects.
And want to change the behavior.
Everybody want to change their behavior.
Like, ooh, death is real.
Right, but those are the times when you got to really like look and learn, reflect. That's when that's the lessons come.
That's deep, yeah. Go within pretty much and
absolutely
realize that power within you, and that's really going to be vital when you are looking to strategize the business, because strategy is a mental situation. It's something that you think it in your mind, but then you apply it. So, with that, I think that was pretty much a good conversation. Again, we're always wishing the best for all brands, and again, everything has a season, a time and a season. And, some businesses will withstand and some won't, but we just got to keep on pushing.
Keep on going.
We got to keep on pushing at the end of the day. And, you said one thing that you were grateful for, and I'm just grateful for just looking at the business, the perspective that we have of looking at it as a garden. I think that in retrospect, when I actually like look back and think on it, I just know that as long as we continue to be who we are, and just continue to be open to learning, like, because we don't know everything, we're learning along the way, and as long as we continue to be open to learning and continue being who we are, that our business will continue to prosper and be sustainable, something that's around for a long time.
You done seen plenty of businesses that started before we got going, during the time we've been going, and you seen them go out, but we still here. Gotta be, man. I'm just grateful for that, man.
Grateful for that. We ain't going nowhere, no time soon.
But thank you for bringing me on, though.
Thank you for being on here. I'm gonna have you on here again. If we find any more topics to talk about, we love to. Me and Quinton sit and have conversation every day, all day.
We
business
read these articles
meetings
all the time.
We read these articles all the time, so definitely just wanted to come onto the platform and share this information with you guys and just talk about it and talk it up. So yes, without further ado, guys, thank y'all for joining us for another Urban Eden podcast. Again, I am your host as always, Terran Lewis, and today we had
Quinton Lewis.
Oh yes, he's so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
All right. And Eden, she's over here now. She might have made a little appearance, but thank you guys for joining us again. It's like now we gotta whisper because she's sleeping. So
she's fine. She'll sleep through anything.
She will.
It's when you're not doing anything that she will wake up.
That's facts. Because she is knocked out right now. But yeah, before we close out, I know I was about to say our final piece, but is there anything you want to share with us before you close out in regards to what we talked about today? Or?
Nah, just for everybody out there listening, I know you got your listeners that listen, but for the people who run in businesses, like just be patient. Like you said, it's only a season. This whatever you're going through right now, it's not going to be forever. I think that's what gets me through things.
Yep.
Is knowing that even when things are good, it ain't gonna be good forever. When things are bad, it ain't gonna be bad forever. It's just a season. So just learn, take your learnings, take your L's. That's what Nipsey said. Take your L's, learn from them, and keep it going. It's okay. It's not the end of the world, regardless of whatever it is. Even if you have to start over your brand, it's okay.
That was a good word that you shared with us, and honestly, that's what gets me through bad times. Anytime, and a bad time isn't necessarily just a bad day. It could be a bad week, a bad month, but stuff that gets me through those challenging times. We're not gonna call it bad, but challenging. Feels like everything is on you. Is knowing that I relate it to a storm. Storm only lasts but for some time, and after that, it's calm and beautiful and brand new. So. That's pretty much, it might be stormy times for a lot of us right now, but there will be sunshine, and we just got to hold on until then. So, all right, that was another podcast episode for the Urban Eden fam. We had Quinton and Terran on here today. Peace.